all control. Gravity is all that I know. She's over me. She's over me. She comes with her hypnotic dance. She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me.
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Ooh, better turn off my speakers.
Oh, that's what that was.
That's what that enormous feedback in our ears was. Yeah, that's exactly it. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Wednesday edition of our Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Brent Thomas, and I am absolutely thrilled you're here. Thanks for coming. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being a part of the party. Thanks for being the party. And hope you guys are doing wonderful. Are you okay?
Yeah, I just need a little more sound.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Well, I have enough sound in my ears, so I'm good. Nice. And before we go any further, please let me welcome my great friend and co-host, Mr. Don Longbeard, to the show.
Oh, too many accolades. Hey, oh, there I am. What, you forget to unmute me again?
No, I did, and then I didn't, and then I did again.
Oh. Well,
I forgot as soon as we launched, and then I remembered, but then I started talking and forgot again, so.
Nice.
That's what goes on in this head of mine. It's just crazy in here. But I don't know. It's a great night, though. I'm thrilled to be back.
Nice.
This Sunday to Wednesday Saturday to Wednesday stretch is a long haul.
It is.
I guess it is basically Sunday because we get it done at 12:01. So that counts as Sunday. So
now you're just nitpicking.
Yeah, I know, but it just it feels so long. It's like I did an announcement stream last night, and how many people are in here right now, Don?
We've got 8, 8 counting you and me.
Okay, well, I'll wait on the announcements then until more people trickle in.
Yes.
Because I just want to say hello to Danielle, Lady Death, Pixie, MCAT, and that's as far as I know is here. You're here, of course. Hello, Don.
Hi, thank you.
How's your week going, brother?
So far it was a good week. I meant to stop and get my eye patch on the way into the studio today because I took a rock to the eye. It hurt.
Oh, Ramon's in here. Hey, Ramon. Good to see you, brother.
So,
I saw that. That looks nasty.
Yeah. Well, Pixie was teasing me. She says, well, you're going to lose that eye. I said, you can call me Patch Longbeard after that. Arg.
Oh, that was one of my nicknames back in the band, actually.
Patch Longbeard?
Yeah, when I was Lost Cat Stanley. Because I always have these foot pedals, all kinds of electronic effects to run my guitar.
Patches,
and patch cables. So they called me Patch for a while, but that was about the time the movie Patch Adams came out, and I was like, nope. So I didn't take that nickname.
Donner, Party of 8.
I didn't see the movie, actually.
Oh, really? It was a good movie.
I know, but it's one of those kind of tragic, sad movies.
Yeah.
And that's the part. It's just like when I go to a movie.
Thanks, Danielle.
When I go,
Put an eye on there.
Oh.
Is that a left eye or a right eye?
I've got my eye on you, Don.
Yeah, well, I've only got one left, apparently. I can't see straight to begin with, so it don't matter.
You scurvy landlubber. Get you the patch and, a pirate hat, and everything will be good. Everything will be kosher.
Yeah, because I got my jug right here.
Yeah, you do. You do got a jug, that's for sure.
Protective Iger.
It's your shine.
It's my sheen. It's my shine. Sheening.
Yeah.
What is it? What was it called?
White lightning.
The sheening. What was it? Shining.
Moonshine.
Oh, I'm trying to remember. No, it was a stupid Simpsons episode where they're staying in the hotel in The Shining.
Oh.
It's called The Shinnin'. That's what it was. The Shinnin'.
You know what? I moved up here from Minnesota. and I moved up here. And one of the first things that made me chuckle is I knew I was in mountain territory when I went to a gas station on the way in, and I think it was in Montana, maybe it was Idaho, but I saw on the shelves moonshine.
Moonshine. Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, they sell moonshine here. So it's kind of funny, but you know you're in rugged country when you can go to the gas station and fill up the tank and grab a jug of shine.
Well, and you can also in Montana you can buy straight Everclear too.
Well, yeah, I guess you can. Yeah, that's just grain alcohol. It's like,
oh gosh,
that stuff is like rocket fuel, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't tried Everclear, it's pretty powerful stuff.
Gosh. It's good.
Many a fool have drunk themselves dead.
I mean, it's not that great. Don't drink it.
Yeah, they've embraced the paranormal in a whole different way. So yeah. Oh, hey, Sarah. Sarah's
Sarah's
here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dory's here.
So we're at about 11. So I guess I can start the announcement segment of the show here. But if you didn't see it yesterday, I posted a video reminder to everybody that this Saturday, June 16th. The Bear, Jim King, will be joining us here in the portal, and he's requested. This is his idea, and it's a great idea, and I'm really looking forward to it. I've already been complimented on it, and I was like, well, I wish I could take credit, but it was the Bear.
It was the Bear.
Bear thought of it, not me. But, Ian, hey, Sean's here.
Hey,
Good job.
Sean.
Good to see you, brother. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
But he'll be...
stick around.
Yeah, stick around for a while. He'll be here on Saturday, and he's requested a question and answer kind of show.
Yep.
And what he wants is to see questions from you guys, the listeners. So this is your opportunity to email in questions. The phone lines will not be used on Saturday's episode. So any input is going to be via email or the chat room. I suppose we could probably field questions from the chat room as well.
Yeah.
But please email your questions ahead of time, because I don't know how many we're going to get, but if, I don't know. I would just like to make sure that you get your chance to have your question answered. So email in your questions to paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. And I've gotten in a few more since posting that video, which is cool.
Nice.
But we still need a bunch more, guys. So whatever your question is, if you've got questions about diet, about, habits, about, I don't know. I posted a few examples on that video of things that you might want to ask. And it's up to you. But even if you're not really into the Sasquatch phenomena, this is your opportunity to learn a little more and ask a question.
And I was chatting with Bear a couple days ago on one of the posts I put up there, and he says it doesn't matter how dumb it is. He says send it in. Send it in. However, he also said that if any spooks or haunts or aliens pop in, he's going to run like a sinner from the confessional. So yeah, I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, he's got about 1 million of those things in his pocket too.
He whoops them out. He's like, blah blah.
Those southern
Words of
colloquialisms
wisdom. Yeah,
they're just awesome. Yeah, so I mean it's going to be a fun show, and I just want you guys to please send in your questions.
Yeah.
We need them.
Now is the time for audience participation.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know that, maybe you're not that interested in it, but if you're coming at it from a skeptical point of view, then ask your skeptic questions,
Yep.
Well, if they're real, then how come,
Right.
And then, fill in the blank. So, but yeah, we're really looking forward to that. So that's out there, and please let other people know. If you know people that are enthusiastic about Bigfoot and may want to catch the show, let them know.
Yeah,
and they can certainly email questions in as well. It's all on. It's all fair game, I guess was what I was trying to say.
Yep. It's open season for questions.
It is, and it's an important show to get those questions, because I want to have a good presentation for the man.
Yeah, definitely that.
But he is one of the original outlaws, and I don't know. It's just really exciting to have him on, and it's really exciting that he agreed to come back again. And, I think it's a great opportunity for us to bend his ear. Now, last Saturday we had an amazing show with Brooks.
Yeah, Brooks was awesome.
We had a great show with Robin. It was a lot of fun. I mean, we've just had some amazing shows.
Yep.
This has been an epic month for us.
And it's not over.
It's not over. That's just exactly it. So this
We're only
Saturday,
halfway through.
this Saturday is the Bear, and then on the 22nd, Duncan Campbell will be joining us.
Yep.
And that'll be great. And he'll be talking about the Cabal and the paranormal. And then we'll be joined on the 23rd by Linda Godfrey, and she'll be discussing Dogmen.
Yep.
And then on the 29th, I'm pleased to announce that we'll be welcoming Mr. Christopher Everard to the show. Everard. I got to make sure to pronounce that right. He is the Enigma channel. He is a fellow TFR host as well, but a brilliant man. I was on their show on Sunday. Had a great time.
Yeah, sorry I missed that one.
Oh, that's okay. But if you want to hear the show, go to tfrlive.com and go to the on-demand section and look up the Enigma channel, or the Enigma Radio is the show on the Truth Frequency. And you can hear the episode. If you're interested in any of the past episodes of other people's shows, I think the archive on there, without being a member, I think you can listen to a week's worth of episodes. Is that right?
Week. Yeah, I think so.
Or just...
maybe it's like the last 2 or 3 episodes.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, but with Chris's show, you're good to go.
Yeah,
It
so
should be there.
Yeah, Enigma Radio, and I was on there, and Duncan was actually on there as well, which is cool. He's a regular on the show, but he'll be joining us. Then Linda Godfrey, or Duncan will be joining us. Linda Godfrey, and then Chris Everard. So that's a great way to close the month. That I don't think we've ever had.
How are we going to get a better month's worth of shows? I mean, that's just silly awesome.
You think Jesus does interviews?
Well,
that's about the only thing that can top it.
No, Bigfoot would top it.
Yeah.
So what do you think of those Jacklink commercials?
You have to pay the bedroom tax. No, he's a great guy, and you will never meet a more ambitious and intelligence person as well. I mean, he's one of those guys. The last time he was on, and that was prior to me doing the streaming on YouTube, he sat for 2 hours and talked, bringing up all of these facts, and he can recite where, who, what, when. It's just really impressive to listen to the guy. I'd have to have pages of notes and be like, well, hold on a sec, let me look for that.
Hold on,
and
what
he's
did
just
you
like
say?
right here, boom, boom, boom. He can just nail that stuff. But he is also probably the most prolific, what's the word I'm looking for, documentarian of our time.
Oh, yeah.
The man has the enigmatv.com, and it's a subscription service, but he has done documentaries about every kind of paranormal subject you can think of, every Illuminati subject, every, ancient history, hidden history.
Right.
It's just amazing. And if you get a chance, check that out as well. I think you'll be a fan of the man if you look into his work. But just an incredible person, incredibly kind and nice. And it'll be a great time. So that's the up and coming things. But again, this Saturday, the Bear will be joining us. So get your questions in.
Definitely.
I need bunches of questions, ladies and gentlemen.
Paranormalportalradio@gmail.com.
Yes, exactly. Who are we? What are we? I don't know, Ramon. I'm still trying to sort that out.
What is my purpose?
Yeah.
Oh, is that too philosophical?
Who am I? What's my motivation?
What's my motivation, man?
I know. We're just all actors on the big stage, ladies and gentlemen. But currently, I got the spotlight. So here we go. We're going to talk about ghostly encounters in the haunted tonight. So essentially, it's a lot of ghost stories. But one of the things that I've been noticing, or it appears to be the case, and it could be just presumption, just due to the fact that the paranormal is not a taboo subject like it once was. Now people can have this discussion about the paranormal. They can talk about aliens. They can talk about Bigfoot. They can talk about ghosts and little people and et cetera, and not elicit the scoffing remarks and ostracizing themselves. Do you see this screen?
No, huh?
Look at it. Do you see that? It's kind of going diddle-it. Maybe that screen is dying.
That'd be unfortunate.
Yeah, it would be, but it'd also be par for the course. So,
Another paranormal thing.
yeah, exactly. It's just flickering over here, so it could be a bad connection, but...
Oh, it is, yeah.
Yeah, did you see that one?
See it, yeah.
Yeah. Now, you know what's interesting? Watch this. And I'm just going to be able to show Don, but woo. Watch those. Do you see how they flicker?
Those are LEDs. They're not supposed to flicker.
But do you see it? They kind of shimmer.
Yeah, they are actually.
Yeah. And if I go to the different color, you can't see it with red so much. Green, blue. Yeah,
look at that. Look.
There it goes. Yep.
Yeah.
Now it's back. Yeah, I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, that screen just died on me, and now it came back. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Always something interesting here in the portal. But, yeah, I don't know. LEDs aren't supposed to shimmer, but they do here. It's an LED light band. Perhaps it's an electrical issue. Maybe the wiring here is just really sucky. I don't know. I don't know enough about electricity, to be honest with you. But anyway, tonight, that's our discussion. So what I was saying is it seems like more and more of this stuff is happening. More and more people are talking about encounters. An acquaintance of mine today just posted a video of she was folding laundry, and her shirt on the bed started billowing up, and she got it on her handphone or her smartphone, and she did a short video of that, and I was like, wow. And I don't have an explanation for it, but then she just grabs it and picks it up. It's not like an edited video. She was just getting ready to head out the door this morning, and that was Betty, by the way.
Oh, what? I'm sorry. What happened, Betty? What?
Glad you could make it, Don.
I'm just arriving.
Or let me know when you can make it. No, she did a video on her Facebook.
Oh.
She had like a blouse sitting on the bed.
Right.
And she was reaching to grab it, and all of a sudden it starts puffing up.
Oh.
Yeah, like really weird puffing up.
Huh.
And I was like, like you'd need like a pressure air hose.
Right.
Off camera spraying at it to make it do this motion.
Huh.
And I'm like, did you have a fan? And she's like, no. She said there's a ceiling fan, but it was just going low and it wouldn't be enough to make this happen. So Pixie, did you see what she just said?
No. I kind of like them.
That's my Jug impression.
It's not.
I don't know. It's just we're all punchy. I'm sorry. I've been going for days and days, ladies and gentlemen, and I've been working on little small projects. I got this big magnifying glass I've been using to do some precision cutting, and my eyes are just fried. So I was saying that it seems like there's more and more of this stuff going on, though. There's more and more encounters with ghosts. More and more people are experiencing these things. And the reason I brought up Betty's issue is that I asked her after that, I was like, do you have things normally happen at your house? And she goes, no, not really, just from time to time, is her response.
Time to time. Well,
But it was a very profound thing to happen.
Right.
And right in front of her, like something wanted to go, hey, I'm here,
Right.
I just thought it was a really cool capture.
Wow.
So, I don't know. I'm bouncing all over the place. But what my reason is there something with globally that's going on that's creating more energetic energy or energetic reserves or resources for these to make stronger manifestations? Is it because of the changing vibrations? This is my own theory. I believe that we're in a part of transition right now. We're in transition that
Right.
We're moving to a higher vibration or something. I don't know exactly what's going on. I just can tell you from the core of my being, I know this is a very important time, and there's some very amazing things going on right now. And is this acceleration of paranormal events also symptomatic of that? Is the veils thinning, that it's not so hard anymore? Generally, ladies and gentlemen, the belief was and is and has been forever and ever, as far as I know, is that the veil thins the most around Halloween. Mm-hmm. And I think it might be thinner than normal now. So we're starting to get a lot of that vibe early, even though it's certainly nowhere near Halloween. But is there something going on that's creating the ability for these things to happen more and more? Are they able to push through more and more because of things that are happening? So I don't know. Just things to consider. But let's get into some of these stories. You okay, Don?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. And we'll see what we can find for you.
Bum, 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 bum.
Bum, 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 bum. I'm sorry, I got to move everything out of the way because it's usually on the other screen. But since my other screen is dying or flickering on and off, it's bumping everything onto my main screen. So it's my life, Don.
Yes, I understand. I somehow became entangled in it.
Yes, somehow. Willingly, as I recall.
Well, you had to drag me kicking and screaming the first time. We've already talked about this.
Yeah, I know. But then after that, I couldn't get rid of it. I was like, geez.
Hey, can I just come sit behind you?
Don's like a boomerang. You throw him out the door and he keeps coming back.
Keep coming back.
No, I've loved having you. You've been a great asset to the show and to me personally. So.
Did you say ass hat again?
Asset.
That's what I thought you said.
It's all in the pronunciation, Don. Enunciating. All right, so let's get to some of these tales of weird things going on. Because it's story night here in the portal, ladies and gentlemen. No interview tonight, except for the paranormal. We're interviewing the paranormal.
We're interviewing each other.
So, sure, Don.
It's going to be boring as hell.
Yeah, that would be that'd be like watching paint dry, I think.
I think that'd be more exciting.
Nice.
What you got, Brent?
All right, so this has been going on for over the course of a month, more than a month, though I believe the house to be haunted for quite some time. Recently, things have amalgamated to the point that I feel like sharing. Recently, she does a lot of recently, or he, I was on the phone with one of my friends to chat, like we often do. I'd probably placed the time somewhere between 12 and 1 a.m., and I asked her to be quiet for a moment because I thought I'd heard someone come downstairs and didn't want to disturb the other people in my house. I'm not hitting puberty. That was just... Do you hear me squeak?
Oh, goodness.
We sat in silence for no more than 30 seconds, and I concluded that I had just been imagining things. When I got back on the phone, I told her, never mind. Then she asked me who I was talking to. I told her nobody, as I was fairly sure I was the only one awake. She told me not to mess with her, and that she swore she heard somebody talking. I swore that I heard nothing because I didn't, and I didn't speak. A few nights later, I woke up from a dead sleep, yelling, "Get away from me," and sitting straight up, kicking at the bottom of my bed. I wasn't having a dream prior to this, and had no control of myself yelling that. I sat there for a minute trying to figure out why I'd just yelled that. I freaked myself out and made myself go back to sleep. We've also recently noticed something weird that one of our cats will occasionally do. She typically doesn't make much noise, so when she does, we all go look for her in the house because it probably means that she's stuck somewhere. But the past few times, I have heard her crying loudly, and every time I go look for her, she's sitting in the middle of the floor in the same spot, staring up at the balcony to the upstairs. I don't know what to make of it, but it certainly has me curious. That is pretty cool. And there's an update. It says, last night my mother woke us all up screaming because she saw a big black figure standing in her doorway.
Ooh.
She said that when she screamed, it slowly turned and walked away. It was enough to have my father walk around the house with a weapon to look for what she saw. Searched in the whole house and found nothing.
Wow.
The house has got to be haunted, right? I'm going to go with yes.
Yes. Get out.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, ladies and gentlemen, and professionally put my opinion as yes. Don, you?
Me? Yes, I've got you back there, buddy.
You think it's haunted too?
I'm running. The only way they're going to catch me is if I don't kick you in the ankle on the way through. Oh, sorry, you hit the ground.
Yeah, it's the old bear story, right?
Exactly.
I just need to run faster than you.
Why are you changing your boots into shoes? Because I just got to run faster.
Speaking of that, and this is kind of a bear story, but it doesn't, not bear as in going to be on the show, but an actual grizzly bear.
Oh.
Did you hear about that one up in Alaska?
No, huh?
There was a park ranger out there hunting, and he was hunting some kind of game, but it was like some kind of deer or something that was in season.
Right.
And he was up there hunting. He said this huge grizzly at about 50 yards away just suddenly saw him and charged him.
Oh, goodness.
And it charged at him, and the guy had a rifle, and he said he emptied his rifle into it, and it stopped about, it went down about 2 feet from him.
Oh.
And then he looked down and saw it was still alive, so he loaded up again and emptied that. Apparently, this bear was 14 feet tall.
Wow.
It is the largest grizzly bear ever recorded, and
Wow.
it weighed 1,600 pounds,
Wow.
14 feet tall. When it was standing on all fours, it would look you right in the eye. That's how big this animal was. And they said that it's the largest bear on record. And when they the Fish and Game came and hauled it away, they looked at the contents of its stomach. It had 2 missing people, parts of them in its stomach.
Oh, my God. So it was a man-eater,
It was a man-eater. It was already hunting people.
Oh, wow.
So
they had to put it down anyhow.
They backtracked the bear's trail.
Right.
And they
find
found
more parts?
an empty .38 pistol and saw that the bear had been shot. And then a little ways away from that, they found the remains of the missing hiker, the first guy.
Wow.
And so he had shot it with a whole pistol full of bullets.
Yeah, but a 38's just going to do nothing but piss it off.
Yeah, it certainly didn't help. And then they backtracked it further and found the remains of a missing woman.
Wow.
So it was hunting people, but 14 feet tall, ladies and gentlemen.
That's not hunting. That's taking over.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna die if an animal that size is coming for you.
3/4 of a ton.
Yeah, dude, that's like
Huge.
That is a monster. I mean, nothing short of a monster. That's like Clan of the Cave Bear. That's like that size. Seriously, that's huge.
Yeah, no doubt.
Now, an interesting point is apparently in California, they have a plaster cast from the 1800s that has a paw that is 14 inches wide and a rubbing of another one that is 16 inches wide. And those would both be bigger than this bear.
That's huge.
That's a paw that's like this wide and this wide. I mean, that's not even. I mean, that's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Now, the reason that I bring that up, ladies and gentlemen, is it's people think that big things like that are seen all the time, but they're not.
They're not.
These monster bears are living up there, and they're avoiding people normally. When they, for some reason, maybe this thing became sick, maybe it became injured, and hunting its normal prey wasn't an option anymore.
Yeah.
And so it probably went after people because it was either that or die. And the point being is if they hadn't hunted people, they, probably would have just, fell over and died somewhere, and nobody would ever know that grizzly bears get that big, And so they think about things like Sasquatch. Mm-hmm. And, I realize this isn't about ghosts, but I mean, it just kind of, since we mentioned bear stories and all that, it brought this up. But, if a 14-foot bear, 1,600 pounds can remain hidden, then, it's not a far stretch to think that an 8 to 10-foot, 800-pound thing could remain hidden just as well. And very, very intelligent thing. So, just my 2 cents. But
no, you're absolutely right, because that's just freaking huge. And why not? I mean, that always brings up the question. We talked about before. It took like 60 or 80 years to find the panda bear. Yeah. I mean, and bears that get that big, polar bears get that big, or not? Yes, polar bears.
Polar bears are usually about 4 or 12 feet.
Yeah.
I think is where they get to about.
Sure, but still, I mean, but big giant creatures like that, there's no reason not to believe that there's something cryptid out there.
Oh yeah. These are just things we know about. So anyway, I just thought I'd throw that into the mix. It doesn't really have it. It is a little bit paranormal though, because it's above normal, right?
Right.
So
that's what Brooks says.
Yeah, and I trust Brooks. So Brooks said that's the new rule.
No, Ian, Sean, we're not taking calls tonight, bud. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I wish we could.
Not on the Wednesday stream.
Wish we could, but yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Though we don't have the access to the network phone lines on the Wednesday stream. It's just us and YouTube. But feel free to post in the chat if you want something brought to the show.
He meant us and you too.
What?
Well, you said us and YouTube, but it's us and you too, as in the listeners. Never mind. Just keep going.
Okay. I don't know. I'm a bit lost, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so and that's the other part about Chris Everard that's cool is he's got that accent.
Ian Two Feathers too, yeah.
Huh?
Him and Ian Two Feathers.
Oh yeah, Ian, yeah.
He's got that Isle of Man.
Yeah,
It's slightly different, yeah.
He's got that smooth delivery.
Smooth swallow.
Oh, you're way too smooth. All right, let me continue then. Well, let's continue. Let me close that before I open it again. Let's see. What is going on with my life? Good question. Since I was little, I would feel a presence that would follow me wherever I go, but I would only feel it in the dark or houses or enclosed rooms, or I would hear voices in my head, which started after a fearful event, and these voices would be associated with the black orbs I saw today, which when I look away, I feel like a presence running towards me, but I look in that direction it's coming from, and it stops, and the voice says things to me based off my memory occasionally.
Huh.
I would hear myself say words I don't even know and use them like I know it, and I would get weird smells that bring deja vu wherever I go, and whenever I get complicated or intelligent thoughts, they would be erased from my mind with no trace of what I was thinking of.
Huh.
And sometimes when I talk to the voice, I feel like it's using me to talk to it, and I also get emotions that are completely unhuman and make my thought process seem perplexing. I also heard the voice that follows me wherever I go, and before I heard these voices, I would always feel a presence behind me. And then I was admitted to a mental hospital by a voice that identified itself as the Omnis, and heard them say that it was an offense for me. I don't know what's going on here. It was an offense for me to see what they look like. And then at the mental hospital, they continuously predicted everything that would happen. They got it all right. And a weird, unidentified, unhuman emotion was attached to me when I was there. The voices said they would saw me and take my brain out. And whenever I say the word brain or think of organs, I feel a weird presence and immense fear. Okay, this is long, and that's about it anyway.
Wow.
So
she's gonna take her brains out? Their brains
yeah,
out?
I guess. I don't know. And I feel bad. Somebody's obviously going through a pretty tortured experience, but I'm not so sure it's paranormal. But that's all I can say.
Are you thinking Thorazine maybe used
thinking,
in this situation?
I'm thinking they might have a jacket for her that has wraparound sleeves. Or him. I don't know. But, and it's sad. I don't know what to say to those kind of stories. It's not like if you're mentally ill, you can't have paranormal experiences. But, of course, again, as we've discussed before, it makes it hard to give it as much gravity as I would most other people.
Sean's saying they're called dark wisps, the opposite of a will-o-wisp.
Will-o'-the-wisps, yeah.
So, hi, Deb.
Hey, Deb. And thank you, Sean. I appreciate that. I hadn't heard of black orbs before, but I would assume they are dark and negative, but let us know in the chat if that's the case.
Right.
It's the old white hat versus the black hat.
Oh, there you go.
I'm just thinking, but yeah, let us know if they're generally a negative presence.
Well, he says, will-o'-the-wisps lead you away, and dark wisps make your head fill with scary stuff.
Oh, yeah, that does sound like what that guy was experiencing.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like, yeah.
And the reason I quit reading it was because it was
difficult to read.
It was very, very difficult to read, and I'm not sure that it was making much sense there after it went on for a little bit. So,
wow, yeah, crazy.
All right, so there's been some weird things happening at my house.
Right here.
First of all, I'm going to tell you, we have 7 people that live in the house. So we initially thought the noises and strange things happening were one of the kids screwing around, but turns out it's not. So since I moved in, I've been hearing what sounds like little kids running around upstairs in the middle of the night. Mm-hmm. It happens probably every night, and my boyfriend and I have checked to see if his niece was playing with us, but almost every time it has happened, she's been asleep. She is 7 years old. Next weird thing, our bathroom has gotten destroyed 5 times this week. What was that?
That was
noise?
the squeak of my. Sorry, just keep going.
Okay. First time, I just got to know if is it you or not you?
It's not me.
Okay. All right. She was 7 years old. Excuse me. Sorry. Next thing, our bathroom has gotten destroyed 5 times this week. First time it was conditioner. Someone or something squirted it all over the sink, toilet doors, floors, and shower. God, that's got to be horribly slippery.
Yeah, no doubt.
Ease, that's like motor oil. Next, it was shampoo everywhere. We thought his niece had done it. She was visiting that day, and she is 3. Today, it got wrecked again with more shampoo. My boyfriend cleaned it this morning around 10 a.m., then he took a nap. I'm sure it tuckered him out.
No doubt.
His sister went to use the bathroom while he was sleeping. Everyone else in the house was gone. It was covered in baking soda that we keep in the bathroom, and several Clorox wipes had been pulled out of the container and thrown all over the floor. What's even creepier is that he took a picture after it happened, and there is a distinct footprint in the powder that is too small to be his niece's foot.
Ooh.
And there is no one younger currently living in the house.
Wow.
What do you think?
I think
People.
I think we should talk to Robin again.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm serious. That's what it sounds like to me. Seriously.
Yeah, no doubt.
Sounds like some kind of gremlin thing.
Gnomes, they're so cute.
It's a gnome.
A gnome.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
But I am not there. I can't say for sure. My encounter with a skinwalker. Skinwalkers. And it's like one paragraph.
Oh.
This happened about 3 to 4 months ago. I live in the backwoods of Texas. I was talking to my girlfriend at the time, and I heard old-time radio static and looked outside my open window, and I seen a dog-like creature standing 7 feet tall with yellow eyes. I shut and locked my window real quick, and I went around the house locking all the doors and windows, and I told my girlfriend what I saw. She's from Navajo descent, and she told me it was a skinwalker. I've heard of them, but I've never seen one, so I didn't know. Thanks for reading.
Huh.
That's a weird place to end it.
Yeah.
It's like, this is what I saw. This is what I did. Is that it? Or did you not live long enough to?
It's like that line in Monty Python.
Yeah.
Arg.
Yeah.
Well, what do you mean? There has to be more. No, it just says arg.
Oh, those are great. Somebody's on Facebook's been posting like British comedy clips, and one of them they posted was the Fawlty Towers. That's hilarious. Fawlty Towers, Basil Fawlty.
Basil Fawlty.
Yeah. All right. So that's a very brief encounter with a skinwalker or dogman, but I suppose it's probably more supernatural since the static on the radio thing, but strange nonetheless. All right. Let's see what this one has to say. I was at my house with my girlfriend and her 2 sons about a month ago. We were just talking in the kitchen, and the kids were around somewhere doing their own thing. All of a sudden, her 3-year-old comes running into the kitchen yelling, and I thought he was just being a loud kid and playing. I picked him up and said, "Hey, man, we got to use our inside voices," etc., or something along those lines. He pointed it into the living room under renovation, so it's basically empty, and said, "There's a ghost in there." I laugh and look at my girlfriend, and she looks a bit concerned. You see, my 3-year-old niece watches YouTube and will pick up things, and I've heard her say stuff about ghosts and skeletons, etc., like she sees on her tablet. Anyways, my girlfriend says I've never heard him say the word ghost before, and I'm surprised he knows what that is. At that point, I'm a bit creeped out. The house is old, and I know a very old woman in her late 80s sold me the house, and she had no husband, leaving me to think maybe he died in the house. I take him into the room while holding him. I point to various parts of the room, and was the ghost over there? To which he replied no 2 times. And when I pointed to the 3rd location, he said, yes. I've only lived there for a little over a year and have had some very minor and very few but creepy incidents. Thinking I hear someone whisper my name, my dog barking or whining at nothing in the middle of the night. We told my roommate about this, and my other incidences with humor, because I've never truly believed in ghosts, and he confirms similar experiences to the few I'd previously had. No point to this story, but I find myself a little bit less skeptical of the paranormal.
Oh.
Thanks for reading, and feel free to ask me any questions, comment, or share your own experiences. That is pretty cool.
Wow.
Excuse me. Someone asked him a question below. It says, just talk to them as if she, were a regular person. Ask her not to scare the kids. Maybe explain to her she is dead. Sometimes they don't know. Don't have to sage unless she acts up. And the person responded, not sure of the gender. As I said, an old woman sold me the house. Her husband was dead, but not sure how, when, or where he died. I avoid the room when I get up to go to the kitchen. It scares me to think about a ghost watching me popping out at any second. Even though I've never had such an experience, maybe I'll try to talking as you requested. Any advice on what I should say? Well, sure. Okay.
Boundaries.
Boundaries. This is what's okay. This is what's not okay. Excuse me. Sorry. I'll go better.
Go better.
All right. Creepy ghost encounter last night. Not too long. Wow.
Oh, wow. One of our chatters says, unless you know the human who was transported into his skinwalker self, per Navajo, and threatened them, said one changed partially into a man and brought him to the ER, half man, half dog. Huh.
I'm not sure I understood what you just read. Unless you know the human who transported into his skinwalker self.
Yeah. So if I'm following correctly, according to Navajo, and Rhiannon, Sea Ranger. Okay. But from what I'm gathering is that the soul of a departed can transfer into a skinwalker. Now I'm not sure how that works, and maybe Rhiannon can tell me. But unless you know the person, let's see, they saved him on the Navajo Rangers. Okay, she's referring to a video. Mm-hmm. Unless you know the transported into a skinwalker self and threaten them.
It sounds awesome. Like so it saved him.
Geez, that's what it sounds like. Yeah,
that's amazing. Very cool. I guess they don't always have to be negative. I think people are just normally afraid or skittish of them because it's things we don't understand. But yeah,
Navajo Ranger, correct. They shot at him. He changed halfway into a man. They knew he was a fellow Navajo.
Oh, okay.
It's hard to kill him, apparently.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah.
Wow, yeah. So, okay. Wow, that's interesting.
That's a cool story. Thank you for sharing that. Very cool. I turned off my notifications on Facebook now. So I turned off the noise for them so I don't get that blurb.
Goodness.
So
scared the crap out of me.
I know, I hate that. I just hate it. So seems to have fixed it. I think the house I grew up in was haunted. Everyone used to see and hear things that were unexplained. I even had a small mirror thrown at me. We moved out of that house. Out of that house. It says out of that house. About 4 or 5 years now. I've only had very few paranormal encounters since we moved out of that house and are in the new house now. The creepy thing is that my nephew was talking to me and randomly said, our friends from the old house are coming here soon. They were looking for us for a long time.
Wow.
That's terrible. It's funny, they got lost, but now they found us and are coming soon. That is really creepy. And then a week later, I was sleeping on my side, and I woke up because I felt knees in my back like someone was cuddling up next to me. I ignored it, but it wouldn't go away, but I still continued to ignore it. It scooted closer to me, putting its knees more into my back, and its cheek was on my cheek. Now, I still tried to ignore it, but then it started to whisper in my ear.
Oh.
I couldn't understand what it said. It was talking too fast and quiet, but it was almost crackling, sounding, and cackling.
Ooh.
So I thought it had to be an actual human laying in bed with me. I tried to grab it, but then it disappeared. That is terribly creepy.
Yes.
Could you imagine moving and they're like, oh, hey, guess what? They're coming.
Hey, Hey, don't worry. Don't worry. They'll be back.
Wow.
Wow.
I've never heard a story like that before. Like,
that is crazy.
huh.
I'm your demon lover.
I am not familiar with that song.
Well, it's a corruption of Turbo Lover by Judas Priest.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Gosh.
Yeah, but that's weird. I didn't know.
Crazy.
I don't know what to think of that one. That's a whole new one, ladies and gentlemen. I've never heard of that they they actually try to follow.
Yeah, no doubt.
I suppose it's possible if they didn't originate in the house, were brought in somehow. But usually I thought that they were, I don't know, kind of attached to something or someone and just kind of always linger around that person.
Right.
But most commonly, they're attached to the actual home.
Right.
And so when you leave, you just kind of leave them behind too. But this one speaks of them being more migratory, or maybe it's a certain kind of spirit that's migratory. I don't know. I mean, you know,
maybe they took something from the house when they moved.
but then why wasn't it always with them then? You know, why did it lose them? It's been looking for us for a long time, but they got lost, but now they found us.
Huh. I don't know. Can't explain that one.
Very bizarre.
Another thing Rhiannon said about the Skinwalkers is they are negative. You need to hit them in the neck with a gunshot. Elsewhere won't work. As they knew him, they threatened him. As they knew him, threatened him. She says it's a generational curse as well. So interesting.
Huh. Sounds kind of similar to the Rougarou.
Rougarou?
Yeah. Well, Lady Death would know about that. The Rougarou. That's all about Louisiana, New Orleans.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the Bayou.
The Bayou.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right.
Gosh, so many songs just flashed through my head.
Yeah, well, you're a music person, so. The Dog's Sixth Sense. My dog and I, let's just call him Miku, were headed to sleep. I had fallen into a small sleep for at least 4 minutes until my dog started barking at nothing. Of course, my first reaction, it's a ghost. And to be honest, I was doubting myself a little bit because I've never actually encountered a ghost, so I used my pro ghost detector apps, all 10 of them. Like I said, I've been doubting myself until 9 out of the 10 apps censored a paranormal, it says censored, but sensed a paranormal entity. Let's just hope I don't have to update the story. Ghost, let's not encounter again. I'm not a real big believer in ghost apps. I know that phones have magnetometers in them, and it's why your compass works in a phone, and it's part of the whole GPS system, and they should be able to detect fluctuations in EMF to a degree, but I don't know how they can code them so that they suddenly are detecting spirits.
Yeah.
Because
you would think they would pick up on the EMFs of the phone itself.
Well, yeah, I know that if you have your phone next to an actual EMF detector, it'll spike up and down as the phone is receiving and stuff, but it's just certain bandwidths of EMF that it detects. But at the same time, I don't know. There is a difference between man-made EMF and naturally occurring EMF, so that may be part of why, and I don't pretend to know a whole bunch about it, but I've had a few of those different apps, and I think they're interesting, but I don't really trust them. I've just had too many false positives from them so many times, and had situations where, that you have like the ghost radar, that's the big one, right?
Right.
And so when you turn, it should turn with you, but because it's supposed to be on a 2D map, so you're looking this way, and you have basically a circle around you, and you have a blip like where you're sitting, Dawn.
Right.
And then if I turn, the blip just continues to stay in that same 4 o'clock position.
Right.
And so I don't know. There might be some better ones than others. I don't know.
Yeah. Michael says the ghost radar is fake.
Yeah.
And Lady Death says, I hear the ghost box ones will loop after so many hours and repeat.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay. Well, that doesn't surprise me. Yeah, I'm not sure. I really don't believe in the word generators built into phones. The ones that, as a word generator, they can manipulate.
Right.
This is the problem with the whole, like, not spirit box, I'm thinking of the ovulus,
The
like
ovulus, yeah.
phonetic generators,
Right.
that ghosts can use their energy to pick out words. Well, how the hell do they know what words are in there? It's not like, it's not like they're on a sheet. So, for us to do anything, we have to learn how to do it. Like, I can't have my 2, almost 3-year-old come up and write a web page.
Right.
He can't do it.
Right.
But, over time he could learn how to. But the idea is that just somehow ghosts can magically just do it,
Right.
And I have a problem with that. It's just, to me, there's no logical learning curve, and I don't know.
Pixie says the ghost apps probably use the same programming as Pokemon Go.
That would be hilarious. It's either a Pikachu or a demon. I'm not sure which.
I'm not quite sure.
Get out.
It's a demon.
Die. No, it's not Pikachu. That's hilarious.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah, you never know, but I don't know.
Lady Death says they have a limited vocabulary in those.
Yeah.
I believe she's talking. Yeah, she's talking about the ovulus.
Right.
So-
Well, either out of the foam ones.
Yeah, the phone. Well,
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know
she's-
about the ovulus box, but I just don't know. It's basically they're supposed to work on EMF fluctuation, that the spirits can fluctuate their EMF field to pick a word. Well, I think it would take like a college degree to learn how to,
yeah.
I don't know. Just weird to me. And maybe there's people that know a lot more about it. In fact, we'll have to ask Dan next time he's on the show.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Why isn't there a learning curve? I mean, how can you just turn something on and a spirit magically knows how to generate words in this database?
They're magically intelligent.
Yeah, well, I'm magically suspicious.
I'm cautiously skeptical.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. It just, to me, it doesn't make a lot of sense. So, yeah, that was... Okay, yeah, that was that one. I've read that one. Let's continue. Oh, I saw my doppelganger.
Ooh.
Doppelgangers are an interesting thing. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're not familiar with that, I think everybody is, but it's the idea of a spirit looking exactly like you. Now, it can be a living person that just happens to share your features and look like a twin that you never had.
I've been told I look like Kurt Cobain. That was serious. Oh, seriously.
Just going to leave that where it lays. I'm taking the high road, Don.
That's prior to 1994.
Well, maybe he did. I don't know. I could say something, just poor taste, but I'm just going to leave that all alone because I love Kurt Cobain. And
Oh, I do too.
he was brilliant.
Appreciated his music and his thoughts.
And he's artistic. Yeah.
The song "I'm on a Plane" was written like an hour after I met him.
Oh, is that right?
At the airport, yeah.
Oh,
he was
cool.
on a flight to Vancouver. when
Very
I wrote
cool.
that, and it was fun. Anyhow,
I am from India, and I live in Delhi. On January 15th, 2015, on January 15th, 2015, I went to Karol Bagh, Karolbagh, Jandwalan Temple in the morning. After visiting the temple, I entered the metro train, and I was sitting in metro. I saw my doppelganger staring at me. He was sitting in front of me, and I got frightened. At the next metro station, I changed metro train and came home. I told everybody at my home and my relatives I was so confused that I forgot to take his picture. Now, after 2 years, I am disclosing my experience. I am a Hindu. Can anybody tell me what does this mean to see a doppelganger in the Hindu mythology, since in Greek mythology it means an omen? Please reply. I'm going to just see if anybody said anything.
Oh.
It says they were generally considered as omens of bad luck or even signs of impending death. A doppelganger seen by a person's relative or friend was said to signify that illness or danger would befall that person, while seeing one's own doppelganger was said to be an omen of death.
Oh, my.
And there's a link to reading more about that. Huh.
Wow.
It says, he posted after this, says, but I am alive for 2.5 more years since that encounter.
Thank God. So it still popped up, and he saw it 2.5 years after that.
Yeah, exactly.
Oops, can't put that there.
Somebody else said it could be your own spirit you were looking at. Yeah, it's a possibility. or some projection. There are things called thought forms where highly spiritually powerful people can project a 3D image of themselves. And it looks just like as if it was standing there, much like a lot of the ghost encounters where you see what looks like the person in 3D space and then they fade away. But it's the same kind of principle, except it's rumored to be able to be done by the living.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, it's not the same as bilocation. Bilocation, of course, is actually, basically...
Being in two places at once.
Yeah, and being conscious and in two places at once.
I'd love to be that.
I know, wouldn't that be great?
So much work done.
Yeah.
Will you go mow the lawn, please?
Yeah. Well, you're going to be aware of both of them, so it's going to still suck mowing the lawn, but...
It's only going to suck half as much.
Maybe. Yeah. Just make sure you put oil in it.
I have an electric lawnmower. I don't need oil.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Electric lawnmower?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
They're so much easier.
Okay.
Now,
All right.
now that I have it, my roommates will mow the lawn.
Woo!
We hate dragging that heavy gas thing around.
Hey, guys.
Hey, not doing it.
Nah, Kenny. I'm not mowing.
You're the cheesy poof.
Yeah.
Meh.
All right. I'm done.
Yeah, let's stop there.
I'm done. Sorry. I just love Cartman. Cracks me the hell up. Well, I used to. I haven't watched South Park in ages, but that show was awesome. Time out. Sarah's timing out. All right.
Sweet.
Coal-powered lawnmower.
I thought she meant she was clocking out.
Oh, clocking out. Oh, either timeout or clocking
Well,
out.
she said she timed out. So.
Oh, no. Okay. Welcome back, then. If you timed out, welcome back. Sarah has the special emoji powers. Yes, she does. She can emoji the hell out of anything.
Oh, boy.
Turkey's name was Cartman.
My turkey's name is Oscar. It ends in M-A-Y-E-R. Sorry. Oh, I don't know why I'm tired.
Yeah. Just your brain.
Yeah, well, that's always tired.
Your mouth is apparently wide awake. Oh, sorry.
Gosh.
I'm actually kind of punchy today, too. Like I said, I've been just working on so many things that I've been, I've been just running laps, too, brother.
Yeah, no doubt. It's crazy.
It's crazy. So, oh, God.
What else you got there, Brent?
I don't know. What do you got, Don?
You know what? I got something. Yeah, I got a little something here.
All right, let's have some Don. Let's go into beard vision.
Oh. See my eye?
Yeah, show him your eye.
It hurts. It hurts. Let's see, look. See?
Look at that.
Right
Took it. Well, you can kind of see it lift. Yeah.
Is that?
There you go. Yeah, that's full blood vision.
Yeah, I was going to wear that patch.
Arrgh.
There we go again. Synchronicity. The history of Mackinac Island. Ask any paranormal investigator and they'll tell you that the cause of a haunting can usually be tracked to something odd occurring in the area. Sometimes it's a murder or a suicide. Often the phenomena is attributed to the makeup of the island itself. And once in a while, it's blamed on dark rituals and ancient spirits. When it comes to Mackinac Island, though, you can check off each of these boxes and several more. The furthest back you can go on the island's history is about 700 years before white folks arrived and started screwing with everything. Well, okay. Archaeological digs place ancient Native American settlements on the land as far back as 900 AD, and researchers believe that the island not only served as a prime fishing location, but the what is
Anishinaabe?
Yes.
Anishinaabe.
Tribes considered a sacred place, believing it to be the home of the Great Spirit. According to their traditional stories, the island was created by the Great Hare, Michibu, and this is the reason that tribes would not only trek to the island to make sacrifices to him, but designated it as a sacred burial place for their tribal chiefs. Despite the island's importance to the tribes, Mackinac was mysteriously deserted by the time European explorers discovered it in the mid-1600s. let's see here. So, the ghosts of Mackinac Island. When you take an island that's essentially amounts to a giant Native American burial grounds, build a fort on it, and kill a whole bunch of people there, then it turns into a tourist destination, you get the setup for a great 80s horror film. Or in this case, you get an island filled with so many ghosts that it would be difficult to list them all. The Grand Hotel. Built in the late 19th century, the Grand Hotel is known for two things: being the setting for the 1980s film Somewhere in Time, which was an awesome movie, starring Christopher Reeves and Jane Seymour, and for the haunted as all get out. Legends say that when the construction crew was digging the hotel's foundation, they began to find so many human skeletons that they lost track of them all. To this day, rumors persist that the workers, increasingly unsure of how to handle the situation, simply gave up on collecting the bones and started building the hotel anyway. The results, you might be as you predict. One of the spookiest tales to come from the old hotel deals with an evil entity in the form of a black mass. As two maintenance men performed a check of the hotel's theater stage, one of them was struck with an overwhelming feeling of something that was watching them, something that he could only describe as evil. As he looked out over the stage, he noticed two glowing red eyes peering from a dark shadow hovering above the theater floor. As he watched in horror, the black form began to rush toward him, knocking him off his feet. 2 days later, the man awoke in a hospital and swore to never return to the Grand. The stories don't stop there. Some of the staff have reported seeing a man in a top hat frequenting the second floor bar's piano, only to disappear minutes later, leaving only the lingering scent of cigars behind. Others have reported a woman in Victorian clothing that tends to roam the hotel's employee housing, sometimes even curling up next to the workers as they bed down for the night. Fort Mackinac. It goes without saying that locations known for their parts in battles are magnets for restless spirits. Just look at Gettysburg or the Perrysville battlefield. But rarely are there as many reports as the ones captured in Fort Mackinac. From apparitions of soldiers glimpsed walking the rifle range trail, to piles of phantom limbs spotted in the hospital, to furniture that moves on its own, tripping motion detectors in the Officer Hill's apartment quarters, the fort has no shortage of paranormal activity. Not all of the deaths that occurred at Fort Mackinac were those of soldiers either. At least 13 children died here, victims of typhoid fever, tuberculosis, and other diseases. Those who have heard the cries of children echo through the halls believe that some of their spirits still reside among the private quarters where they once lived. Even eerier, those who wake early enough to watch the sunrise can sometimes hear the sounds of a phantom fife player echoing through the fog near the fort's North Sally Port entrance. The Drowning Pool. Located in the area between Mission Point Resort and Mackinac downtown area is a 20-foot drop-off which has long been nicknamed... Oh, there goes my mic.
There it goes.
There goes my mic. Hold on. Mute me. All right.
You're muted.
Dang it.
It's a mutiny.
It's a mutiny.
All right.
Arg, arg, arg. Okay, try me.
Hello? Yes, you're live.
Ah, here I am. I'm back.
You're back.
Whether you want me to or not. A 20-foot drop-off which has long been nicknamed the Drowning Pool. According to local historians and paranormal researcher Todd Clements, it receives its name not from the occasional accidental drowning, but the purposeful torture of women accused of witchcraft. Back in the 17s and early 18s, Fort Mackinac was at its heyday. A lot of brothels popped up. 7 women were accused of being witches and enticing unsuspecting soldiers, fur traders, and husbands to their houses. It is said that rocks were tied around the ankles and they were thrown into the lagoon. If they sank, innocent, sorry. Clements believes that the accused still haunt the drowning pool, make it one of the scariest and most dangerous places on the island. Now we've seen shadows come out of the water that make no noise or ripples. he said to the Midland Daily News. We've heard huge splashes that were too big to be fish and no one around. Wow.
Ooh.
Mission Point Resort, built in the 1950s as a world conference center for the Moral Realignment, a cultish religious group that aimed to mold the world's morals to their own liking. The property changed hands a few times until the late 80s, when it officially became Mission Point Resort. Of all the haunts on Mackinac Island, this one reigns as the most active. The resort's most popular ghost is that of a student nicknamed Harvey, who died in the late 60s. As the official story goes, Harvey was a victim of a broken heart, made his way to the bluffs behind the resort, then leased to Mackinac College, pulled a gun out and shot himself. His body wasn't discovered for 6 months. Clements, who spoke with the state police officers about the case, believed that there was more to Harvey's story, which might explain why his spirit never left the island. They ruled it a suicide at the time, but we believe there's another guy involved in his death. Clements discovered that Harvey died from not one, but 2 bullets to the head. Adding more fuel to the mystery was the fact that the gun was discovered nowhere near his body. If that doesn't say unfinished business, what does? Today, Harvey is often reported lingering in the Mission Point Theater, where he's known to pinch and poke young women in the dark. Wow. Well, that's what you get. He is a uni student. One of the stars, Amy Bruni, believes that Mackinac Hauntings might have a lot to do with how little the island has changed over the years. Mackinac is legitimately a step back in time. They don't allow motorized vehicles on the island, so it's so quiet that you feel like you're from another era. They have also put a huge focus on the restoration and preservation, so it puts you in the mindset that you can connect more with any spirits that may be lingering. You're looking at the island exactly as they did, and I think that's why so many never leave. It's always the same. So there you go. Mackinac
There
Island.
we go. Mackinac Island. No, my cousin lives in Michigan, and I'm pretty sure they pronounce it Mackinac Island. I don't know how they get the "o" out of that, but
No,
then again, there's Missouri.
Missouri.
Yeah.
Isn't that the Show Me state?
Show me where the hell that last A is. That's what I'm saying. Pixie says I should have the Ouija board hanging on a string.
Yeah. No.
Don loves that behind his head.
I would love it. Yeah.
That's your favy.
Right there.
His favorite decoration. Yeah, if that planchette moves, we got bigger trouble.
You can bet I'm watching it. You can bet I'm watching that.
Don's glued. But you remember, if you're watching it on YouTube, it's already happened.
Yeah, it's already. It's like 7 seconds done.
Yeah,
you're just gonna see me just light up. And
if you're using that to keep an eye behind you, not the best plan.
Oh, that's a good point. I can use yours though. It's only like
Only
half
if
a
I'm up to
second
here,
long.
yeah.
Well, that's true. So don't.
But I have to read stuff too. So
Oh goodness.
Got to read, Don. Got to entertain.
Guy always gets it in the back.
Yeah. It's always the bearded guy that gets it first.
The bearded one-eye guy.
Oh, funny. Streak. I don't know if this is a story or what this is. Let me open it first. Okay. Yes, it is.
Wow, stop that.
What?
Oh, it keeps popping up and telling me you have updates. I don't care. Remind me in an hour. That's the 3rd time it's popped up since I've been up here. We started streaming an hour ago. It must have popped up right as I got here.
All right. The story I'm about to tell you is a true story that happened in the summer of 2015. I've always had terrible sleeping habits. In the summer, I can literally stay up until 6 a.m. This was one of those nights. It was about 4 a.m., and I was on my phone. I was watching one of those paranormal story times. Then, suddenly, the room became very cold. I assumed it was just the air turning on, so I brushed it off, but then it was about 4:30. I was watching a really creepy story time. I then felt a presence. I felt energy. It didn't feel like bad energy, but not good. It just felt like a presence. I was really creeped out by this, but continued to watch videos. About 10 minutes later, one of the creepiest things happened to me. I looked to my right and saw a shadow. The shadow was tall and thin. I was stuck in my bed, not being able to comprehend what was going on. Then the shadow disappeared. It felt such a relief just knowing that the thing was gone. Another 10 minutes passed, and I looked up at the clock near the door frame, and when I looked, I saw something so scarring. I saw a streak pass by the frame. I know it sounds simple, but what happened next scared me the most. I looked to my left and saw the same figure. I grabbed my stuff and bolted out of the room. I couldn't sleep, so I just watched TV for the rest of the time. I wasn't keeping track of the time, and my brother walked down the stairs looking dead. "What's wrong?" I asked him. "I couldn't sleep," he stuttered. I looked at him and nodded my head. "Me neither. Don't think I'm crazy, but..." And I told him the whole story of what had happened. When I finished my story, a pure look of fear was plastered on his face. That happened to me," he stuttered yet again. I looked at him and just shook my head in disbelief.
We didn't get out. I just shook my head in disbelief.
That's the whole story.
See ya.
Uh-huh. So, whether it happened or not, I don't know. Could be just creative writing. Any of these could be, but... It's possible. Everything is possible in the portal, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, boy.
Okay, so this is, oh my God, oh my OMG guy came out of nowhere. This is one small story. My wife and I are headed to town to play some Pokemon Go. Serendipity, ladies and gentlemen. Suddenly, in the middle of the road, there's a dude wearing black shorts. I don't know where he came from. He was just suddenly there. What just happened? That's the whole story. I don't know, maybe you should get your face out of your Pokemon Go and drive.
Kidding. No kidding. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my God.
It's Pixie's fault.
Could be. I don't know. She might have been there. This one is called
Pokemon Go.
Pokemon Go. We were just talking about
twice.
that. Yeah.
Wow.
That's the way it works on the portal. We mention something and it manifests in a story.
Pop-up
Yep.
hauntings.
Yeah. We are creating reality here in the portal, ladies and gentlemen. I'm from a small town in central Illinois. I am not a paranormal investigator as much as I am a paranormal enthusiast / thrill seeker.
Okay.
I've decided to post some of the most thrilling things that have happened to me. And I want to start with a story that dates back to the early spring 2007. It was still cold out as the chill tends to hang in the Illinois air until late April. I was staying with a friend who rented a third-floor attic apartment. It was a massive house, and it had been converted into 4 separate units. It had a wooden staircase on the outside to reach the 3rd floor. The house seemed to have been built around 1920. It had intricate wood trim even on the 3rd floor. The original owners of the house must have been quite well off. It had radiator heat, the kind that makes a lot of noise when it's on. Anyway, we were having a good time smoking a little weed and messing around with the Ouija board. There were 3 of us there at the time. It was about 9:30 p.m. I had made a comment about how lame and cliche Ouija boards are. After all, I'm an enthusiast of the paranormal. I knew kids' games were all BS. About that time, we heard some noise come from the dining room. I shrugged it off as the radiator heaters. As the next 15 minutes passed, it got louder, and something we could no longer ignore. I called out and cursed into the next room, in my mind cussing at the paranormal pisses whatever it is off. In my mind cussing at the paranormal pisses whatever it is off. Sure enough, that worked. It sounded like 15 freaking soldiers in heavy combat boots were stomping around the dining room table. The only escape route was through that room. So together, without another word, I grabbed my keys and my 2 friends, and I made a run for it. It was ice cold in the dining room. The sound grew louder as we passed through, and as soon as we hit the other side of the door, it stopped. As we were piling into the car, still freaking out, I looked back up at the 3rd floor window that was visible from the side of the apartment building, and there was a massive, cartoonish grin with deep eye sockets as though it was saying, "I won. Now get the hell out of my house." My buddy crashed with me until his lease was up next month. He wouldn't stay there overnight again, but we would go up there to smoke and see if it would still mess with us anymore. Apparently it became bored with us after that night because nothing else ever happened there. Huh. It made its point. There was no reason to showboat. It made the point. Living with a house of ghosts. Backstory.
Ooh, I love backstories.
Listen to this. Hello, my name is Shades.
Oh, God.
Isn't this that thing you do? Yeah, you. Sorry. All right. He's going by the name Shades. You know that movie? Tom Hanks? That thing you do?
Oh.
The drummer, Tom Hanks said, here, put these on. Your name is now Shades. Yeah, okay. just me, apparently. All right. All right, my name is Shades, and let me start by saying that me and my family have been the host to paranormal events for several generations, and as far back as I can remember into my childhood. Strange things always happen around the house, and I mean always, was sad about it. About it is at the time. I don't even know what that sentence means. I was beginning to really learn what things are and understand, grow out of that. Between a toddler and really understand life, but now I'm 24, I'm a father, and over the course of the last 2 years of my life, this paranormal entity, because my house is home, has plagued. This story is written terribly. I can't even read this. I'm getting confused as I read. That was that one, right?
Yes.
Oh, that's the backstory. This is the other story.
Oh, that's the other story.
Yeah, I'm not going to read either part of
Okay.
that because it's horrible. This is Unwanted Friend Part 3. Is there a Part 2? Part 1? Okay, let's just read this one. It sounds like it starts out okay. Hey everyone, it's really been a while, but some more fun stuff has happened in the span of 24 hours. I've been staying with my friend Chloe when the Cube event happened. So I'm going by what my sister told me on the phone just an hour ago, and it really has me nervous. And I am now moving back into my dad's, so it don't happen again to her. Sorry for the kind of messing beginning. I am still freaked out by what happened to me just a few moments ago. My sister, let's call her Zoe, my boyfriend, let her borrow his new Rubik's Cube he bought a month ago. It is one of those new ones. I'll have a picture of it, but he let her have it to solve and play with because he was bored with it, and that was 2 weeks ago. And during that time, I was getting into fights with my father and moved in with my mother and grandparents. Yesterday, I left to go hang out with Chloe at around 12 p.m., 6 hours and 30 minutes before my sister got home from band camp. And my sister is a clean freak, so after she got home, she played with the cube and started to clean her room. This took about an hour to do, making the bed, vacuuming, etc., mind you. The cube is sitting on her dresser, still messed up for all this time. When she finished and put the vacuum up, she was going to mess with it again. As soon as she got into her room, the radio started to go all static, and her phone started going off because of her friends. As this was happening, she looked at the dresser and picked it up. All 6 sides of the cube was solved. And this cube is hard to solve. And I am good at Rubik's Cube, and it makes a loud clicking noise when you turn the pieces. And she never heard it. Zoe already knows of the things going on with me, and this terrified her, to the point that she is now refusing to sleep in her room till it is gone. Even though this don't sound too bad, I don't think like it. I don't think like it, because this is my little sister, and that is now wanting to mess with. So to keep her safe, I'm going to remove the cube and myself from the house. I don't want her to go through what I have dealt with for 6 years. Or for years, it says. After she told me this, I told Chloe and called her boyfriend, telling them everything that happened to her. I am staying the night at Chloe's for a second night, so I can't do anything about the cube now, because we rode in Chloe's car, but that is not all that has happened, for something happened here while I was in the shower. So again, after the call and telling them what happened, me and Chloe was helping her mother's with some boxes in a guest room. After all that was done, I asked if I could take a shower and borrow some new night clothing So after I grabbed what I needed, I walked down the hall to the bathroom and said, "I'm locking the door," so they would know. As I was getting into the shower, I had with weird feeling, but in my mind, I was telling myself that I was just spooked from what Zoe told me earlier. So I brushed it off as nothing, and so I cut on the water to take a nice cool shower. And as I leaned my head back into the water, I got the feeling again and looked up, staring at the mirror, nothing there. This happened 2 more times, every time my head was in the water. But then it happened for the 4th time. I quickly turned to face the mirror, and when I did, a large black mist moved from beside the mirror and quickly going to the right side of the room, disappearing into thin air. At this point, I have had it and quickly turned off the water and got out of the bathroom quickly. I nearly ran over Chloe as I was rushing out of the bathroom. She could tell I was upset and took me outside so I could smoke and talk in private. So I told her what had happened and asked if it was her unwanted friend. But she said no, and then told me about a shadow figure that had appeared after she let her ex-friend stay over and hasn't left. So
Ex-friend isn't such a good friend. Maybe that's why she's an ex-friend.
Yeah, maybe she left some kind of attachment there. And that's the thing, you got to be careful who you piss off in this world, because some people know how to leave things for you.
On you. Yeah, no doubt. Watch this, you dirty woman.
Very wild.
Crazy.
It's all possible on the portal, ladies and gentlemen.
Anything's possible.
Everything is possible.
Dun, dun, dun.
Let's see, I got a new friend request.
You do?
I do. It's always nice to make new friends. All right. Not anybody I know, though.
Is it anybody else you know knows?
Not apparently. But I'll just leave that sit. I don't know what I'm looking at. I'll investigate later. But it's nice to be wanted. It's nice to be wanted.
I want you to want me. Oh, I put the wrong one. Goodness. Anyhow.
I'm going to give you what you did me. You're just going to give me this dead air.
Dead air.
Dead air.
Little daycare ghost.
You got one?
For a number of years, CV worked at a daycare school and had many times heard stories about a ghost of a little boy who occasionally appeared there. For example, when a number of children were waiting outside for their parents to pick them up, he would stand among them, confusing the staff as to how many children were actually there. CV was also skeptical about these stories until a friend had a first-hand experience with the little ghost. On this particular night, CV, a friend and her husband were at the school helping to set up the kindergarten for the new school year. It was about 8 p.m. when the husband came in from outside and said he had seen a little boy out there. He tried talking to him, but got no response. He assumed it was the son of one of the other co-workers, and he told her that she should keep an eye on him because it was getting dark and cold outside. The co-worker just gave him a puzzled look and said she didn't know what he was talking about. The man looked toward the door of the back room where the child stood looking at him, and again asked the co-worker why she wouldn't let her son run around, or why she would let her son run around in the cold and dark. Now a bit miffed, the co-worker replied that she had not brought her son with her. As the man looked towards the door again, the child's gone.
Ooh.
Sometime later, the alarm system with video surveillance was installed in the school. One day, the director called in some of the co-workers to tell them that they had something on a tape. They actually caught footage of the nursery door open very slowly, then close without anyone being there. The time of the recording? 3 a.m. The alarm never went off.
Wow.
Haunted school in the outback. In 1993, Deb was in year 9 at school in a remote part of Australia. It was March when the days in Australia were getting shorter and the weather cooler. Deb's class and the year 8 students were enjoying a sleepover at the school. The school was called Kangaroo Inn, named after some old ruins that were nearby. The rock walls and the window frames were all that remained of the old inn, constructed and used during the gold rush. Apparently, the Chinese couple who ran the inn were buried under the school somewhere, but no one knew for certain. Deb was on cooking duty, barbecuing sausages and patties for tea. Around 6:30 p.m., some of her mates came down to ask her how long the tea was going to be. As I was cooking the barbecue, I heard a dog barking. There are no dogs at the school. I could hear the barking come from inside. I was about to investigate when a little dog, a Jack Russell, I think, popped out of the wall. It ran around barking, then headed over to the tech studies room and ran through the wall into the room. This was no child's imagination. One of the teachers who was staying with the children on the overnight came out to find the dog he heard barking. Deb told the teachers what she saw, and the teacher replied, "Well, this school is supposed to be haunted, but not by a dog." When they heard the barking again, they all ran to the other side of the tech studies building, where, to their astonishment, the dog was standing half in the wall, barking. We couldn't see his tail or hind legs, Deb recalls. While we watched an orb float out of the wall, glowing green, the dog followed it, barking constantly. By this time, the three other students and one other teacher were witnessing the phenomena. Then, dog and orb floated into the air and were lost from sight in the darkening skies. I've never seen anything like this since, Deb said, but some of our Year 12 students supposedly caught footage of a green orb earlier on, around 1988 or 89. Also, some teachers reported being shaken by the shoulders or felt cold spots when locking up the school late at night when sleepovers or events at the school happened after school hours. I guess my old school was haunted, but whatever was happening never hurt anyone, just freaked them out. Wow. Interesting. Boarding school ghost. Christina was attending a boarding school in Fort Apache, Arizona, back in October of 2006. It was her first year at the school, but one of her friends had been there for 3 years and had a number of spooky experiences. For example, one day when she was walking past the stairs that led to the second floor, she heard what sounded like a little boy laughing. She could hear his footsteps going up the stairs. To investigate, she went up the stairs and looked down the hallways. But she saw nothing. She checked all the upstairs room. She saw and heard no one. When Christina's friend returned from her bedroom, she glanced at her dresser mirror and saw a pale little boy standing on her bed. But when she turned around, he was gone. When Christina came into the room, her friend told her everything that she had seen and heard. She described the little apparition as having blonde hair, a pale face, and was wearing a striped shirt and faded blue jeans. "I believe her," said Christina. "I wanted to see the ghost boy, so I would sit on the bottom of the stairs for about an hour every day. I heard nothing for about a week, then I gave up." 2 weeks later, however, Christina has her own encounter with the ghost boy. One morning, she had just gotten out of the shower and went to her room to put her shampoo and towel away. I opened the closet to hang my towel on the door, and when I was about to close the door, I saw him, the little boy, exactly as my friend described. Christina and the little boy stared at each other for a moment. Then, in the blink of an eye, he vanished. I never saw him again, says Christina. I knew the dorm used to be a hospital and had a lot of sick people and dead people. They said that the room my friend and I are in is where the little boy died of pneumonia.
Ooh.
The Whistling Nun. Kate was also at a boarding school when she had her haunting experience. It was an American boarding school in England, a building that dates back to the 1600s. During Kate's first year at the school, her dorm was above an old coach house for the horses that was built near the school's main building, an old mansion. The coach house adjoins a strange tall building that's used as a dormitory. At one time in its history, the building was a convent or nunnery.
You're going to say coven.
Or nunnery, where religious nuns had once lived.
Where the nunks live.
Where the nunkeries live. Oh, no.
Oh, God.
Nunker Road. Thank you, Pixie. Tell Mr. Pixie, thanks for that, by the way. One night, Kate was up very late finishing her homework. It was about 2:30 a.m., and one of her roommates was still studying it with another roommate and getting ready to go to bed. As I was organizing my books, we heard whistling coming from outside of our window. The The window looks down over a garden that connected us to the old nunnery building. Our room was 4 stories off the ground, and the whistling sounded like it was coming from directly outside the window, as if something was hovering there. Too afraid to investigate any further, the 3 girls just sat and stared at the window, listening to the whistling. After a few moments it stopped. There was no wind that night, Kate remembers, and we could not have heard someone that clearly whistling from the ground. Besides, who would have been out at 2:30 a.m.? Many tales have been told of the nunnery building being haunted by a nun who committed suicide centuries ago from jumping from a window. Was she the one outside the window that night whistling to us? I guess we'll never know. There you go. Scary stories about haunted schools. Woohoo!
Absolutely.
Nice.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that.
I really especially love the old convents.
Okay.
All right.
Actually, I used to, when I was young, I think in junior high school, I started Taekwondo and stayed with it for years and years. But where we started, my instructor was a 7th degree black belt right from Korea. I mean, he was the real deal, just really impressive and intense. And he trained us like we were from Korea as well. We had to work really hard, but because there's no question that learning the martial arts in Asia versus learning it in the U.S. is 2 totally very different.
Cakewalk.
Yeah, it's a cakewalk over here. But it was really cool. But we actually, the first location he could find to do the class was in, it was called the Villa Maria. And it was a convent. It was a nun's. It was a beautiful limestone castle. And it used to be so cool to just go there and to be in that building. And it was like literally walking in a castle. It was awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, very cool. But then he found other locations after time, but it was very cool. I just had to throw that in there. I don't know why, but...
Because we were talking about haunted schools and nunneries.
Because you talked about
Convents.
a nunnery.
A nunnery.
All right. So, continuing on.
Yes.
Do I have a poltergeist?
Ooh.
That's always a big question, ladies and gentlemen. Do you have a poltergeist?
Or
I think if you have one, there'd be no question. You would know.
I have a poultrygeist.
Ooh, you are a poultrygeist. The poultry doesn't last long.
Not in my house.
I think I may have a poltergeist. Certain items have been disappearing and reappearing many times. Well, those are airports and deports. The last time was when a box full of bolts and screws disappeared when I needed them. They reappeared in my room on a small pile of stuff a week later. It definitely was not there before. My mom and sister, said they had not touched it at all. And I know it wasn't there before because I went to the same pile of my stuff the day before it reappeared. What's happening? Many other have occurred before this, but I don't 100% remember them. And no, that's probably not a poltergeist because if it's a poltergeist, you're going to have a lot more than...
Just nuts and screws.
Yeah, nuts and screws disappearing and reappearing.
Yeah.
You know, things disappearing and reappearing can definitely be spiritual in nature, but a poltergeist is a very aggressive spirit. So it's like, it'd be like hiding your stuff and then throwing it at you.
Here it is, you dummy.
Yeah. You're looking for this crap.
Here it is.
Yeah, so I mean, there's no question if it was truly a poltergeist,
Yeah.
it would, your world would be exploding in paranormal activity from here, and time to time, not consistently, but there would just be these periods of like wham, wham, everything going crazy and then settle down.
Wow.
And it's really intense, but they can be quite negative too. They can, very much mimic a demonic kind of presence just with the intensity and the aggressiveness. But as Dan was saying, he thinks that a poltergeist kind of thing is when something bothers one person and pretty much sticks with them. A demon kind of thing, he was saying, is like when it doesn't matter who, everything is a target, because they just hate everything, And that's a very interesting viewpoint. I hadn't heard that before, but very cool, very interesting. I I got to check. I thought I might have. No. I got to look and see. I know I talked to Dan about coming back on the show, but I don't remember when we agreed that was going to happen or if we agreed. I think I was supposed to send him some dates, and I kind of forgot that.
Oh, don't forget that.
Well,
oh, gracious.
Dan's awesome, though. I mean, he's and I certainly would never not remember to have Dan on the show. It's just that I haven't had time to do anything lately. I've been so swamped, and I know he's swamped. He's been traveling all over the country as well, so he's a quite busy man. All right, so continuing on. No, I'm not doing the unwanted friend part 3. That's the Rubik Cube person.
Yeah.
Perhaps a spirit. Let's see what perhaps a spirit is, ladies and gentlemen. My wife and I moved into her great aunt's house, who passed away in what is currently our bedroom, about 10 years ago. Before we moved in last year, her daughter, who inherited the house from her, was living here until she got engaged and got a house elsewhere with her fiancé. Anyways, when my wife and I first moved in, we noticed weird noises in the house and just made jokes that we have someone living in the attic. There is no attic or basement. But I just chalked it up to the humidity, being that we live in North Carolina, and it was just making the wood and flooring and other wooden parts of the house fluctuate from the change in climate. Fast forward about 6 months and my son was born. Being that I work, my wife is usually the one to wake up with him and at night and the one to take care of him all day until I get home. My wife says when she's up feeding him at night, she can hear footsteps throughout our house. But there's been probably about 2 times that she's actually woken me up to go check it out. Being that we have an alarm system, it wouldn't make sense that anybody got into our house without us knowing. And it's happening as it's happening, but it made her feel better. One of her, quote, freaky incidents, unquote, was when she was up making a bottle for our son and he was crying in the bedroom. She said she heard the same tick, tick, tick noise that she makes to try to calm him down and thought I was up making that noise to him and just came into the room to find me passed out and our son calm as could be, smiling off into space. As late there will randomly be a pungent fishy smell coming from our bedroom, more so located around my closet, but right in the doorway of it. It'll be there one day and not come back for another 2 or 3 days. Now, watching all the ghost movies and whatnot, I know that's a sign of a malevolent being, as a putrid smell coming from where they are. I'm not too worried, as I said before. She is my wife's great aunt, so maybe that'll keep her from poltergeisting the house. Any thoughts on this? Are you laughing at the story?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Good.
laughing at the last line.
Yeah.
Poltergeisting the whole house.
Yeah. Poltergeisting. It is funny. That's a funny way to put it. But yeah, that's pretty cool. I don't think that the fish smell might not be a malevolent kind of thing, because if for some reason that person loved to fish, or that was an important thing to them, then they may create that smell to create a connection for the living. Like fish. Remember, it was me. I used to fish all the time. You always used to say I stunk like fish. It doesn't have to be that. Now, if it's the smell of rotting flesh and sulfur,
you might have an issue.
Then you might have some other issue. Yeah, that's never going to be a friendly thing. Never ever. But yeah, you don't want things coming up there and poltergeisting your house.
Especially with the fishy smell.
Yeah, with a fishy smell on top of it, right?
Oh, gracious.
No, in contrast, like I tell you, I've made the statement that in this house there'll be times when I'll catch this old lilac perfume. Now, to me, it smells horrid.
I thought it was rose.
No, it's like maybe it is. I'm not real good with my flower smells, but
Me neither.
it's some kind of flowery smell. But to me, it smells horrid. Just absolutely horrid. But my grandma used to wear this horrid stuff, and I always thought it just stunk terribly. But she loved it. She could wear the hell out of it, and lots of it. So, so for me, it could be a very offensive smell, but to her it was something that she loved. So, go figure.
Oh my.
It's in the eye of the beholder, Don.
Or the nose of the beholder.
Yeah, or the senses of the beholder, yeah.
Yeah.
Very tall shadow guy, or a hado guy, because they mistyped it. Instead of a shadow, it's a hado.
Yeah, that's the type of go I do.
Are you seeing that? It's projecting through the screen onto the...
Oh, that's because the screen...
I'm like, what the hell's going on? Let's go to Beard Vision here.
I was going to go... You read. Go to Brent Vision.
No, because that's on camera. I'd
Okay,
rather you
fine.
did something.
Fine.
I'm like, why is it projecting on the...
Scared the hell out of us, huh? This is a true story. It actually is happening right now every day as I go to school. It happens at school. Every recess, my friends and I play on the stage. It's in a dark gym, and even with the lights on, it's dark, no windows. We told ghost stories, scary, funny, fake. We told them all with the lights off and the stage curtains closed. But it wasn't really that bad until after a week. We had been hearing bumping noises every time we threw ourselves to turn on the light. Then, as we left the stage, we saw things. A dark shadow of a girl, a mist over the gym, and a hand, ghostly white. So we tried never to go in there again. Well, that was fine. We managed. Our theory, the stage is haunted. That it was. No, there's an old, and we think, abandoned house. There's a car in the driveway. The front all smashed up. 3 windows, 1 on the bottom, 2 on the top. In the top left, we saw a girl, black hair and ghostly face. Blink, it's gone. That wasn't all. We ran to the baseball field. Then we went back. We could literally not stop. We literally could not stop. Something was dragging us over. Ring, Saved by the Bell. We looked at the stage, walking to the classroom, and guess what we saw? A white hand dripping blood. The next recess, we were drawn over again, and it wasn't even windy. A huge branch snapped from the tree nearest the house. And then my friend started saying, I'm not scared. She almost went into the house. So we literally dragged her away. Then the bell rang. She started acting normal. This is all happening today. In fact, it happened these past weeks, and we're freaked out. We're also not acting good away from school. Headaches, no hunger, starving. What? We're also not acting good away from school. Headaches, hunger, starving. Huh. That's a bit weird and a bit weird.
It is.
And a bit weird.
It is.
Yes, it is. So how's that projector?
Good. I think it's good now.
Nice.
Pixie brought up 17 magazine again.
Yeah, she said they're samples from 17 magazine. That's what
Ladies and gentlemen, the backstory about that is I was doing a Halloween show.
She's only 17. Sorry.
Sorry, it was okay. I had a burp. Anyway. I just finished my Coke, so excuse me. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I don't mean to be a pig, but I play one on TV.
I play one on YouTube.
But what had happened was I was doing a Halloween show, and I just went all over and found different stories. And I used to, make sure that when I found stories on popular, websites, that I would give them credit. Because, it's important. If they're putting together their websites, they deserve the accolades and the nod. But I made the mistake of finding a story once from 17 magazine. And they have a website. I just want to put that out there. And so I, of course, announced at the beginning of the story, this is one I found on 17magazine.com. And so, as you can imagine, with any family, once you put that out there, then you'll be reminded of it every possible chance that it can ever come up. So, yeah.
Oh, no.
Quit doing coke, yeah. I can't say it. I'm strung out. I can't help it. I love my Coca-Cola. I've been on a diet, and I've been losing weight. I've been doing good, but I still have to retain that vice. My Coca-Cola.
Oh.
It's terrible for you. I know it is. I know all the health issues with
Have
it.
a Coke and a smile and everything on it.
Yeah.
And I'll pass it on.
It's okay, Pixie. It's funny. It makes me chuckle even.
You better, because you know what? She's made fun of me too.
Oh, Don, you're just being sensitive.
Oh.
Thank you.
Oh, God. Oh, man.
You know, it's just, I was just basically agreeing with you.
Jeez.
You're just agreeing with you. I'm just agreeing with you. So let's continue this journey into the paranormal.
Sorry.
Okay, Don. Don's speaking in tongues. Maybe I shouldn't hung up the Ouija board.
It's Sarah's fault. That's a good song, Sarah.
Don's channeling Slayer or something.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
thank you, Pix. We know.
All right. So,
The royal we. Me, myself, and I.
all right. Let's continue this journey.
Yes, please.
Didn't I read the very tall shadow guy?
Yeah, I think he did.
Or was that the one I was going to read?
Oh, that was the very tall Aho guys.
No,
No, you didn't read that.
No. You have such good vision. I'm just always impressed with that. I can't read anything past like my arms
I had
length.
plenty of paranormal experiences from a young age, but I don't believe in paranormal.
Okay. Yeah, I'll actually handle the reading of it.
Oh, sorry.
I wasn't suggesting you read it.
You weren't asking me to read it
No,
for you.
I'm just always impressed
from 10
by
feet
that.
away.
that you actually do read along with me, and I'm like, I had plenty of paranormal experiences from a young age, but I didn't believe in paranormal. I pass it off as my brain playing tricks on me because I was always alone when it happened until 5 years ago. My cousin, male, and me, also male, were walking through an abandoned part of an old army fort from the 16th century in our hometown of Croatia.
Oh.
It was around 2:30 in the morning, and we decided to go there because we were bored, and it provided a shortcut to our houses. There's an old tunnel that's around 30 meters long that serves as an exit from the fort. It is the only exit in the fort that had no lighting inside it, as that part was not renewed. And was pretty creepy, but we thought, screw that, and went in. After a few meters in, I felt this feeling of overwhelming dread pass through me. We stopped dead in our tracks and looked at each other, and he felt it too. Then came the sound that I can only describe as a deep shriek that traveled from one end of the tunnel towards us and ended up in our heads. We couldn't move because it hurt our ears a lot, and we heard what I could compare to the sound of a COD, Call of Duty, when a grenade explodes near you. After a few seconds, he looked up ahead and screamed. I could barely hear him through the buzzing, but I looked up too and saw a huge shadow, at least 3 times as tall as a human, standing at the end of the tunnel. We couldn't move or talk for what seemed like 2 minutes. We were frozen in fear. Then all of a sudden the shadow started moving. Imagine gliding towards us at the speed of fast walking. It came as close as 7 to 8 meters to us, and I honestly thought we were going to die. Then somehow my cousin unfroze and pulled me with him into a full sprint. We ran for 30 minutes without stopping until we reached our part of town, and we didn't look back the whole time. We both saw and heard the exact same thing. We slept at my place that night, covered in blankets over our heads like little babies.
That's not what it says.
Well, that's the version I'm sharing on the radio.
Okay.
Can't explain this in any way. What does the TLTR mean?
This should be TLDR, too long to download or read.
Okay, my cousin and me heard and saw this giant shadow in an old fort. Yeah. Okay.
Basically a summation of the story.
Oh, gotcha. I don't know. I'm not
For those
familiar.
people who don't have the attention span of a mosquito to read it.
Now, here's an interesting one. I like these stories because I think it just shows, I don't know, this is very profound activity when things like this happen. I was deep asleep when all of a sudden I heard something and I jump awake. I saw my fan was unplugged, and there was no one there. I woke up immediately after it stopped, and I didn't see anyone. I got out of my bed in a cranky mood, look around to find nothing. I checked every room in my house, and my family was sleeping. When I checked the living room, I see my mom on her phone and asked her if she unplugged my fan. But she said she didn't. I don't know what happened, but the electricity didn't go out. I was pretty tired at the time, so I just plugged it back in again and went back to sleep. So his fan was on and got unplugged. That's not what I thought it was going to be. I
It
thought
would
it
be,
was.
yeah, it'd be more exciting if the fan was unplugged and running.
That's what I thought I was going for.
That would be.
And those stories are out there, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. This kind of a phenomenon does happen. It's not real common, but it is very profound. That and radios turning on that there's no electricity to.
Right.
There's one in an air museum in England. They got it set up like an old 1920s area, and apparently at night, the old radio with the the glowy tubes,
Right.
it's not plugged in, turns on, and they can hear static and sometimes hear old radio shows coming through it.
Wow.
Yeah,
That'd be cool.
I know, right? That's just amazing. So it happens. It's all on the table in the paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I don't know what this one is. Rewatched thoughts. Cat ghost.
Cat ghost.
Yeah, my cat really bummed me out today. It decided it's going to hunt birds, and I know cats do that, but it managed to get a hold of a little immature sparrow. It's not like a little infant sparrow, but it's a little one, and so we're going to see if we can nurse it to health. It's still okay. It's just missing some feathers. Apparently, he just pinned it down and just started peeling feathers off the poor little thing. What an introduction to life. It's like, oh, God, you poor thing. So we're trying to take care of it. Cat ghost. Okay, I just moved into a house where I believe an older lady had died before, and that's why it was for rent. And lately, my boyfriend and I have been seeing these black shadows in the kitchen. Every so often, 2 days ago, or every so often they'd see the shadows, okay. 2 days ago, I was doing dishes, and I swear I saw a cat flop its tail. Well, last night we heard a bang, a bag move, but nothing was in the kitchen. And last night, my boyfriend heard someone walk into our living room and sit on the couch and thought it was me. I'm not sure what to do or how to react about this, and I'm kind of freaked out. That would be freaky if you're not prepared for even if you are prepared for the paranormal. I mean, you ever watching those ghost shows? It's like Ghost Adventures with Zach Baggins, and Aaron Goodwin and Billy Tolley and whatever, Jay Wasley. They go into these places and they're all like cool and stuff, and then when stuff happens, they're like, I mean, they're just
Bail.
And the crappy part of it is like these guys have been, to some of the most terrifying places in existence as far as haunting levels and stuff. And then, they're these allegedly seasoned investigators, but they get this sound, like they'll hear something, and then they'll be, oh my God, you hear that? Yeah, I heard that. And they'll keep talking. Meanwhile, there could be so much more going on, but they don't shut up long enough to, find out.
Shut up.
Yeah, it's just like, oh.
They don't hear the ghost saying, shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up.
So the secret to life is, oh my God, you hear that? Oh.
42.
Yeah. 42. That's right. Get your hitchhiking ring. All right. So anyway, I don't know if you're ever prepared for it, but a lot of that stuff doesn't freak me out, though. I don't know what it is. I mean, I'm not saying I can't be scared. I certainly can be and have been many times, but something about the, haunting kind of stuff generally doesn't freak me out too much. Only a few times have I truly been like startled, like, oh my God, this is not right. But usually it's okay. My unwanted friend. Oh, okay. And then there's part 2. So I'll read part 1 first. All right. I think before I can talk about what has happened now, I have to tell how it all started for me. It all started 2 years ago when I was watching my goddaughter for my friend while she was and her husband was at work. I remember that around 3 o'clock in the afternoon when I was getting her some lunch made, I was heating up her mac and cheese cup and filling up her cup of juice when I called out for her, and when I didn't hear her coming to me, I got worried and get her food and drink on the floor and looked around for her. Looking around the living room as I was looking in all of her favorite hiding spots until I heard her whine. I turned and looked down the small hallway of the apartment, and the room straight down was her little room. Her room door was shut, and I remember having it left open to keep the room from getting too hot. I could feel a shiver run up my spine as I slowly made my way to the door and slowly opened it. I looked around the pink room and saw nothing. So I looked around the room and then walked out and went into the bathroom. Then I hear her whine again. Now I was slowly getting mad, but she is an adventurous 1-year-old and I couldn't get angry with her. So as I walked out, I felt the strong urge to look in her room again. When I did, I saw her in her room holding onto her crib. For a moment, I was shocked because I just was in there and couldn't find her. With a sigh, I reached my hand to her and asked her to grab a hold of my hand and that her lunch was ready. Then as I did this, I heard a voice. B. B. It was my nickname that she calls me. I turned my head to see her with her food, her hands covered with cheese, laughing and pointing at me. At this point, my heart stopped. If she was right there, then who or what was in her room? I snapped my head back into the room in front of me, and the little thing was now looking straight at me. I felt as if I couldn't move, as it gives me what I think is a smile and moves to me and grabs my hand. The sound of static ringing loudly in my ears, and what made me snap out of it when I heard her scream for me. I shook my head and looked around. The little shadow and the noise was gone. After a few hours, they came back home. Let's call them Chloe and Ben, her parents. We talked about their day and that she was well-behaved all day. Then I told them about what happened to me, and they looked shocked until Ben sighed and told me a story about when he was younger. That this thing has been following him for years when he thought it was his guardian angel and accepted it into his life. But he said after a while he found out that it wasn't an angel, but a dark creature that has haunted him and his wife. But he told me that it wouldn't hurt me, that it just likes to play games and scare you. A few months after that, things never changed. I never saw it again, and I soon forgot about the whole thing. I guess just to get it out of my mind and not replay that scene over and over again. But then I started to notice things slowly. My artwork being moved to my bed or the floor when I had them on my desk. My little stuffed fox laying on the floor when I had it on my TV stand. Small things that I paid no mind to, until the knocking and footsteps started about a month later. At first I thought it was just my house, for it was built in the 80s, an old house, and old houses make noises all the time. 80s isn't that old. But my mind was soon changed after one confrontation on November 5th of 2016. I had just gotten home from my college drawing course, and when I pulled into my driveway, something felt off. Then I looked up at the house, like someone was watching me from my window. But I pushed it to the back of my mind and went inside, and everything seemed normal. So I walked to the bathroom to check my makeup and fix it before I left to see my boyfriend. And as I was doing this, I heard the front door open and shut, making me jump slightly as I looked back, thinking it was my dad. I called out to him and heard nothing. I started to think it was the wind until I heard heavy boots walking from the door to the kitchen. I called out to him again, and when I did, the boots stopped. I waited for a moment, getting more and more nervous by the silence. Then out of nowhere, the boots started running from the kitchen into the sunroom, making me scream to high heaven as I pulled the bathroom door shut and locked it. As I did this, something hard hit the door, as if someone charged into it at full speed, making the frame of the door inside the bathroom come out of the wall. Ooh,
Wow.
that's a huge impact. I didn't know if it was an intruder in my house. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't call anyone due to where we live. The signal isn't so great out in the mountains. So I sat there and waited for what felt like hours. But it was really 25 minutes. So then I finally got the courage to open the door, looking around as I walked out, and I felt my heart almost about to jump out of my chest as I slowly walked into the dining room and looked outside to see that my car was the only one there. Quickly, I snapped out of it and started searching the house for anyone and couldn't find anyone. I thought I was going insane because I know I heard those heavy boots walking in the house. I walked to the front door about ready to leave until I heard the walking again, and I felt my heart stop as they came running at me again. I screamed as I grabbed my keys and slammed the door shut and ran to my car. As I got in, I looked back at the house and saw the curtains move slightly, as if someone was watching me, trying not to be seen. And at this point, I really didn't care and got the heck out of there. And after that, nothing much happened but some noises and my art moving from place to place. But something happened Saturday night that really had me scared. I was sitting on the couch. It was just a little past midnight. I was watching the new episode of Samurai Jack. I had recorded. My dad and his girlfriend had just left to go to a party, and me being antisocial, I stayed home and caught up on my much-needed shows. I turned it down as it was on a commercial, and picked up my phone to text my boyfriend when I heard footsteps. I felt my stomach drop as I looked up from my phone and scanned the dark room, as I heard someone say my name. You know when someone is playing with you, saying your name really slowly, making sure to hit every syllable? Well, that's what it was that I heard. The hair on my neck standing up as I froze in my spot, looking at the entrance to the kitchen as I watched the kitchen light get turned on, and I knew for a fact that I was alone. My sister was with her friends, and my dad and his girl were gone. In a panic, I grabbed the house phone and called my boyfriend as I didn't know what to do. I sat there and told him what was going on, and I heard the concern in his voice as he said he was coming to get me. After waiting 15 minutes, he came, and I got in his car and we left. It wasn't as bad as the last encounter, but still really terrifying. But there's still more to tell, but I'll put that in the next update. And that's what we'll read now. You guys are getting the extended version tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, no doubt.
Because we love you. How many people are in here, Don?
We're looking at 15, and they're
15?
quite lively. They're talking about metal and punk.
Metal and punk.
Metal and punk music.
Good thing I'm reading all these stories. I have never been so scared in my life. And this is an update on my paranormal situation. But this isn't just mine, but my friend's too. Let's call her Chloe. I haven't seen her in a year or so, and she moved back into town, and I spent my night with her. She just left an hour ago, but the events that happened, I can still feel my neck aching. She told me that she has a demon following her. It has become aggressive in the past 6 months. We talked about it and then about my situation and changed the subject quickly so we could have a lighter mood and not think of bad stuff. So we drove around for 3 hours and then started to head to my house. And as we sat on my porch, when she panicked, saying someone was in her car. I turned around and shined a light, and no one was there. We got nervous, and I told her to ignore it, and that it was Little Guy, my name for the unwanted friend, or No Eyes, another spirit.
Huh.
So we did. We ignored it, and then after we decided to take me, and after a while, we decided to take me to my boyfriend so I can see him, and we headed out. As we rode down the road, see this, how it's spelled? As we rode down the road, R-O-D-E for both. Everything was fine until we both felt a chill in the car. I chose to ignore it until Chloe cried softly, making me jump. He just growled at you. Mm-hmm. That was all she would say. I was confused for a moment until I felt a hand grab me by my neck.
Oh.
I felt my neck being squeezed tightly. I couldn't breathe. I gagged and yelled for her to stop the car. Once she did, I got out and coughed loudly as the weight was lifted off of me. After a moment or two, I got back into the car and we drove on. But as we did, that sounds so much like you're in the bathroom. I'm just saying that it's just... There's certain sounds I like to hear when I'm reading this story. That's not one of them.
I just about peed myself.
Now we know what's in that jug. All right. All right. So she was scared. Once we got to my boyfriend's house and we got out of the car to get some air, trying to relax, we started talking about school and everything was fine until we heard a loud growl come from inside her car. This made me jump back and away from the car to her. She holding my arms as she hid behind me. We both watched as her window in the back seat began to fog up, like someone was breathing on the window. This began to make me panic. But she calmed me down, telling me it was okay, and she left. I don't know how to feel about this, but I'm scared. Yeah. I don't blame you.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Craziness. So how you doing, Don?
Doing all right. Oh, geez, we've been at it for like 2.5 hours, haven't we?
About 2 hours. It's
2 hours?
9:08.
Yeah, it's 9:08. Yeah, 9:08.
Yeah. Do you want to continue?
Would you like to?
I can read a couple more.
I don't think anybody's... No, I think we should... Nobody's paying attention. No, they don't need no more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think we should be done because nobody's listening. They're talking about Ice-T and Public Enemy and Bone Thugs and Harmony, which sucks. Big Daddy Kane, EPMD's cool. Eric and Raheem's all right. Too Short was awesome, and DJ Quick is nasty as everything. So, but no, I think keep going. Oh, MCAT says keep going. Oh, Ramon says yes, we are. Nobody else is listening. Oh, Sarah gave us an ear. Would you like an eye to go with that ear?
All right, we can read one more.
All right, one more because Pixie's listening to Mr. Bungle now.
All right, what's Mr. Bungle?
Mr. Bungle's a band, one of Mike Patton's old bands.
Okay.
Mike Patton was a singer for, oh God, they sing that song Epic.
Okay. So this has bothered me for years, and people always think I'm crazy whenever I tell the story. So all my life, I've always felt like late at night when everyone else is asleep, somebody was there watching me, or it wasn't only me who felt like this. My three sisters felt it too. And it's just a bad vibe. It's actually scary, and every single night at around 3 to 4 a.m., if you're sitting outside, you can hear a scream. And it's the same exact scream every time. And it sounds like someone is being brutally murdered. I live in a rural area and know what animals sound like, so I know it's not animals. So this one night after my sister's graduation party, I fell asleep downstairs on the couch. In the living room, my parents have a game room with couches in it too. So my sister and her boyfriend slept in the game room. I woke up in the middle of the night, but the way I was laying on the couch is not how I went to sleep. When I woke up, I was laying horizontally across the couch, so my legs and feet were hanging off of the couch. And when I turned over, there was a man laying next to me staring at me. I don't know what it was. I just immediately knew he was bad. He looked dead. His skin had a gray tint, and he had a black suit on and with a red button up underneath, and he had black hair. I started hitting him and trying to push him out of the house. I was finally able to get him out of the house and lock the door, but I don't remember anything after that. I woke up the next morning laying the same way, horizontally, with my legs and feet hanging off the couch, and thought it was just a dream, but I remembered it so vividly. So I go to tell my sister about this horrible dream I had and how crazy it was, and my sister tells me to shut the hell up because her boyfriend had woke her up in the middle of the night because he saw a scary man with a suit with black hair trying to get into the sliding glass door. My sister said she thought he was dreaming. She didn't see anything. So my question is, has anyone ever experienced something like this? And does this sound like a coincidence? Or could it be paranormal? I'm going to go with paranormal for 200, Alex.
And what is...
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I guess that'll wrap it up for tonight. So thank you so much for being here. Thanks for giving us your undivided attention. Okay, thanks for being here anyway. I guess we're losing our touchdown. So, or maybe it's just the exact same touch it's always been.
They're listening. They like it. They wouldn't be listening or in here if they weren't interested. Oh, did Rio just pop in? Sure did. Hi, Rio.
Hey, Rio. How you doing? Good to see you.
Anyhow, Mike Patton is not a god. He's just a good songwriter.
Okay. Well, I just want you to know we love you all, and we will be back on Friday night for another fun-filled version of tonight's show.
Yep.
And we'll continue carrying the torch. And then remember, Saturday, we'll be joined by Jim the Bear King to discuss Sasquatch, Bigfoot, boogers. And make sure you get your questions into paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. Thank you, Lady Death. You rock my socks, girl.
I wish I could read that. My computer just decided to do updates and is restarting right now.
Outstanding.
Outstanding. I'm glad we're done.
Never mind, Don. I got it from here.
Step
All right.
back, watch him go.
Hang on, I'm going in. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, get your questions in. Email. We love you too, Sarah. Thank you. And love you all. Thank you all for being here. It's been wonderful.
Absolutely.
But I'm wiped out, and I got to get some sleep.
Yeah.
So we'll see you on Friday night,
Yes.
10 p.m. Pacific time. The phones will work Friday night. They won't be on Saturday.
No
So if you have a
Saturday.
question for the bear,
Yep.
email it. Again, paranormalportalradio@gmail.com.
Gmail.com.
We'll be waiting to hear from you.
We
So,
do.
well, like I said, we've gotten a few great questions in, but we need a lot more. So,
Hey, just to make you guys jealous, Lady Death actually sent us questions. So if you guys haven't sent questions, Lady Death's already ahead of you. So catch up.
all right, guys. So, love you bunches, and we'll see you on Friday night here on the portal.
Bye.
We'll continue the journey then. Take care.
I've got my eye on you.
Yeah, your bloody eye.
My bloody eye.
All right, we'll see you guys.
Bye.